So we're back with a demonstration from our classroom recently. We were taking a look at some of the features of the head, structural knowledge, and I just want to emphasize gaining knowledge, looking below the surface, getting a good grasp of fundamental disciplines never stifles creativity. Let's look at one example. When artists are starting to draw the portrait, the head is complex. Everybody knows the head is complex. And accuracy is so important because we have to complement the subject and make sure that they're happy with the artwork that comes out of our studio. Now, we could just go directly into painting from a photograph without exploring some of the fundamental realities that explain the human head. But what does drawing give us that enhances our exploration, our knowledge, our foundation as we go through the portrait? Peter Paul Rubens couldn't be wrong. He drew and he drew and he drew, yet he painted in such a brilliant way. You can see in his work that link behind his, between his drawing studies and his magnificent compositions of figurative studies in paint. So, what was the advantage? Well, let's look at one reality. Oftentimes, people will start drawing the head with the eyeball, right? They draw the eye. And I've seen artists do this constantly. They're copying a photograph or whatever they use as their resource. But what happens inevitably is there's a very important detail on the face that's missed, or it's sort of fluffed over, we can say. And it's this point right here. It's called the glabella. It's that little point, that triangle that falls right between the two eyebrows and goes down to the bridge of the nose. Whether we're artists or not, we intuitively use that specific spot to measure, for lack of a better expression, the depth of the eye sockets, how far the nose and the chin protrude from that spot. These are parts of the big form that we don't define in our own mind generally, that have everything to do with identity and recognition. The glabella is a very important feature. Another feature on the head that is invisible, we can say, nobody notices it. I mean, when has anybody told you you have a magnificent zygomatic process on your frontal bone? Nobody would ever say that, right? There it is, this little corner right here. You can feel it if you just span your finger along here. Without defining that, an artist draws a portrait or paints a portrait that looks like the forehead just goes on and on and on with two eyes and eye sockets somewhere stuck in between. Unless that's defined properly, and we study that through drawing, we reverse engineer. Few people are going to start engineering the head with a paintbrush, but they're going to do it with a pencil. So we learn structural realities. Does that stifle creativity? Not at all. What that does is gives us the opportunity to make decisions as we go through the process of our creativity to say, how much do I want to emphasize things in a representational way, and how much do I want to express things in an emotional way, an artistic way. Here's another spot that's very important, the center of the chin. Now, everybody can see that. Everybody knows where the center of the chin is. By identifying these features and where they are, we learn to build a structural scaffolding that represents the big form. And then we put the subject inside those details. So what were we trying to establish here? Well, the reality is, if we're just trying to copy something like a photograph, we may not understand substantially what underlies the structure. And so there would be errors made, errors that we may not even notice until we mature more as an artist, but others will notice. We want to be able to be convincing. We want to be powerful. We want to be truthful. and we want to be artistic, of course. It's not about copying, it's about understanding. And as I mentioned, knowledge never stifles creativity. It becomes a springboard to expression. And that's what we go to art classes really to learn, is uncover realities that allow us to blossom or to mature in our expression. So here we looked at the structural form. We looked at things that are really invisible to the common public. They don't really know these things exist. But to us, they are specific focal points that allow us to build structure truthfully and say exactly what we want. I teach all of this in the online atelier, and below you're going to see, you can click on the link, you can learn more about what is taught and how it works. All are welcome to join an online program that happens on a weekly basis to build their knowledge and enhance their artistic voice going forward.